The drums. It was always the drums. In Umuaka, they did not merely beat, they warned. Each strike was slow, heavy, like the throb of the earth beneath bare feet. They called the living to gather. They called the spirit to depart. And beneath every note, they whispered of something darker, something only a few could hear. Men stood with bowed heads. Women wailed in unison, their voices dancing with the wind. At the center of it all laid the body of Okonkwo, the master drummer. His skin was cold, his hands that was once quick and powerful, folded stiffly on his chest. For as long as anyone remembered, Okonkwo's drum had spoken for the spirits. At festivals, its rhythms made dancers whirl until their eyes turned white and their feet struck sparks against the ground. In times of war, the same drum warned of trouble. It summoned warriors, fighters from farmlands and riversides. It was said no man in the entire region could strike the drum as Okonkwo did. Some whispered he had learned rhythms from beings not of this world. They believed him, but now he is gone. And the village felt empty without the beat that once bound them. Among the mourners stood Chike, Okonkwo's grandson. Barely 15, he was thin, with restless eyes that missed nothing. His legs once danced to sound of his grandfather's drums. His friends thought him to be too curious, always chasing lizards or peering into the blacksmith's forge. His passion wasn't the same as his grandfather's. It didn't seem like he would follow his legacy. But today, curiosity gave way to grief. He remembered how his grandfather's hands had guided his small palms on the goat skin and showed him how to make music instead of noise. A drummer's hands must be gentle and fierce at the same time, the old man had said. Suddenly, all his grandfather's words sounded more like wisdom, guidance, and less than random words. As the burial ended, people drifted back to their homes, but some villagers and elders stayed. They wanted to know who would beat the drum. Chike didn't like the elders. He didn't like being watched, so he decided to leave, to run into the river or chase the birds. But before Chike could leave, his mother, Adaeze, placed something in his arms. It was the drum. The skin still had the 3 faint lines that his grandfather told him tales about. The cowries and the red cloth dangled from its sides, alongside the charms that his grandfather had tied. Chike stared at it. His mouth suddenly went dry. "Mama, this is your grandfather's last wish," Adaeze interrupted softly. Her eyes were tired with grief. "He said the drum should be yours." The villagers nearby gasped. An elder muttered, "A child should not hold such a drum."
Another shook his head, whispering of curses, of bargains sealed long ago. Chike clutched the drum tighter. He should have felt honored. Instead, he felt undeserving.
That night, when the house was still, he sat with the drum in his room. The moonlight shined through the tiny window. The light highlighted the drum. He ran his fingers across it. It was smooth, warm, and it felt alive. He lifted his hands and gave it a gentle tap. The sound was deeper than he expected. It seemed to linger in the air, echoing through the walls. He didn't believe the sound, so he tapped again, this time with both hands. The room grew colder in seconds, and shadows stretched long across the floor. Chike froze, his heart pounding. He gulped and suddenly turned when he heard a dog barking wildly before it whimpered into silence. He knew that was weird, but what was weirder was when he thought he heard a laugh. A faint, distant laugh that danced with the wind. He dropped his hands. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. The drum sat before him, still and innocent, as if nothing had happened. Just my mind, he whispered. Only my mind. He might be young, but he knew something had happened. He tried to sleep, but couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt the drum watching him, waiting. When dawn broke, he was exhausted, tired, yet a strange pride swelled in him. The drum is mine now, mine, he said out loud. The next few days passed with whispers trailing him. In the market, old women eyed the bundle under his arm. Men muttered when he passed, "That boy carries fire. His grandfather's spirit will not rest. Children should not touch what belongs to spirits." Chike ignored them, but for a second, he believed them. His friends urged him to play the drum at the stream, to prove himself. He refused, yet each evening, when the house quieted, he found his fingers itching for the drum. Or maybe the drum, but itching for him. One evening, after dinner, he carried it outside. The compound was quiet, and there was no dog in sight. He struck the drum softly. The sound carried through the night. He struck again, practicing the same beat his grandfather taught him. Seconds later, the wind shifted and the crickets fell silent. Then, a faint whisper, but a clear one, came out. It seemed to come from the drum itself. Chike. The second he heard his name, his blood turned cold. He stumbled back, staring. The drum sat calmly, its charms swaying in the breeze. The wind whistled and danced with the leaves. He swallowed hard, staggering. "Who's there?" There was no answer, only the creak of trees. But Chike knew what he had heard. The drum had called his name. For 3 days, Chike avoided the drum. He kept it hidden under his bed, muffled in cloth, but he could not keep it out of his mind. Every time he passed his room, his skin tingled, as if the drum called him without sound. At night, he laid awake, listening for whispers. Sometimes he thought he heard his name, faint as a sigh carried on the wind. Other times, it was only silence, yet silence that pressed too heavily. His little sister, Ifeoma, was the first to notice. One morning, she crawled under his bed, searching for her doll. When she came out holding the drum, her wide eyes glowed with curiosity. "Chike, is this Grandpapa's drum?" she asked. "Yes," he snapped, snatching it from her. Ifeoma frowned. "When you touch it, it speaks. I heard it last night." Chike froze and immediately shook his head. "You were dreaming." But she shook her head. "It said your name. Twice." He shoved the drum back under the bed, his heart pounding. His sister was too young to lie convincingly. Besides, he knew she wasn't lying. Soon, weird things happened. At first, it was at the village square, when the clouds formed a shape only the elders understood. The village elder, Mama Ebele, called and told him, "Your grandfather made a bargain with the spirits. The drum does not belong to you. It will take more than it gives." Then the animals. The moment he sat on the bench near the goat pen, the animals bleated and scattered as though he carried fire. Later, as he fetched water, the chickens clucked madly when he passed, their wings beating the sand and dust. Even his friend Emeka noticed. "The animals fear you," he teased, though his smile was uneasy. "Maybe you carry your grandfather's spirit now." Chike laughed weakly, but that night, guilt and pride wrestled inside him. "Maybe I do carry it," he thought. "Maybe that is why the drum is mine." On one night, Emeka dared him. "Play it in the dark," he urged. "Let me hear Grandpapa's rhythms. What is the use of inheriting a sacred drum if you hide it like a stolen yam?" They met by the stream. Chike carried the drum, wrapped in cloth, his hands trembling as if the thing weighed more than wood and skin. Emeka grinned. While he was eager, Chike hesitated. Then he struck the surface once. The sound rolled across the water. The air thickened like smoke. He struck again and again until the rhythm filled the clearing. At first it was beautiful, just like the times his grandfather had played, the notes echoing against trees, making the night shimmer. It was perfection. But then the wind rose, sharp and sudden, and the water rippled as if unseen hands slapped its surface. Dogs barked across the village. A coldness swept over them. Emeka's grin faltered. "Chike, stop,"